everybody. Welcome to episode number 57 of the Driftless Knitting podcast. My name is Jennifer. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Driftless Knitter, and you can find the podcast on Ravelry if you search for Driftless Knitting under the Groups tab. Welcome. It is a sunny February day. It is February 26th, Monday at about 11:05 in the morning. I am coming to you, as always, from Cross Plains, Wisconsin, where I live with my fiance, Seaver. We're just outside Madison. And yeah, it's a very warm day today, which is amazing. It's almost 50 degrees already in the sun. We have a little thermometer that sits by our TV, and it's kind of hooked up wirelessly to the thermometer outside, and that sits in the sun, so we get a little bit of a skewed reading sometimes, but still, almost 50 degrees is amazing. I am actually so excited about it that I opened our sliding door a bit, and I have that open right now. It's a little bit chilly to have the windows open and everything, but the fresh air just feels so good. And we really haven't, since we live in an apartment, we don't really get fresh air unless we open our windows. You know, we don't have our front door opening and closing and blowing fresh air in, so it's really nice to get a fresh breeze going through the apartment, and just makes it feel a little bit like spring, which is really nice. I do apologize for the lighting today and for the quality of the video. It is so grainy and oh my gosh, yeah. So I'm using my webcam right now, which is the web camera that is on my laptop. So it's not like a really good quality web camera. I usually use, for the past, I don't know how many months, I've been using my phone, my iPhone. But today, as I go to plug it in so that I was all, charged up and ready for the podcast to film it, I realized that I left my phone charger at Seaver's parents' house, which is where we were Saturday and Sunday of this week. And, that's not, I can go charge, I have my phone charger, so I have to run errands anyway later, so I can charge my phone in my car so that it doesn't die overnight. And then we have a charger at work that I can use. But still, I wasn't going to be able to film and put the plug my phone into my computer, because it's also, that's what I use as my USB cord, is my phone charger. So I wasn't going to be able to, upload the video that I recorded, get that, on my computer so I could edit and upload it to YouTube. So we're going back to the web camera. However, I'm not sure why I'm so blown out. I do have a couple lights on, as well as the natural light that's coming in from outside. So I might try and turn a light off and see if that helps with just the balance of light. I'm not really sure, but hang on one second. Let's see if I can improve this just a little bit. Okay, so I'm not really sure if that's any better. I did turn off the floor lamp that was right next to me, and we're just kind of relying on the natural light that's coming through. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I could do a little bit of something with I don't really know. This is an experiment. So apologies if I'm so ghostly white that I just sort of disappear. Yeah, it is springtime after all, so my face sort of is the same color as my t-shirt, my long sleeve t-shirt I have on today. Oh gosh, anyway, let's crack on, shall we? I do have a few works in progress to show you, a couple things that I've acquired over the last week, and then I think at the end of the podcast I'm going to talk about some stuff that's been going on just in my life and stuff. I mean, all good stuff. But instead of going into that and talking a lot about it at the beginning of the podcast, I thought I'd move that to the end. I do enjoy when podcasters do that. I know Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast always has her life stuff at the end, as well as the Anxious Knitter, she does that as well, and then Woolberry, she's been doing more of that too. I am just catching up on her podcast, on Bethany's podcast. She took a hiatus to have her baby, and she's back now after like 3 or 4 months. something like that. So that's really exciting. I just watched her first episode back, and then she just put out a new one, so I'm excited to catch up with her. I am drinking coffee today, as always, in my Jane Austen mug. This was a Christmas present from Seaver's brother, because he knew how much I love Jane Austen. And I love this. It has it's really wide and big, and it has a square handle. How cool is that? So, yeah. So I'm finishing up my coffee for the morning. And apologies if there is a little bit of background noise. Like I said, I have the door slightly cracked just to get a little bit of fresh air in. Okay, so let's get to the knitting content. I'm just going to set my cup down, which might be a bad idea. Oh well. I'll try not to kick it over. Okay, so the first work in progress that I've been working quite a lot on this week is my piece of silver sweater. And this sweater was designed by Vera Valimaki, and it was in the first Lane magazine. That's where I'm getting the pattern out of. I have a collection of the Lane magazines, and I'm so excited to get the fourth one. It came out last week, and I already texted Kelly up at Yarnology in Winona, Minnesota, which is where I used to live, and I told them to set me a copy aside. Set me aside a copy. Is that grammatically correct? Anyway, and I'm really excited to, I think I'm going to call them and get it, get my payment to them and then get it shipped to me, because I can't wait until April when I'm back up there for a visit. I love the Lane magazines. They're beautiful. They always have the most amazing patterns, interviews. They even have recipes and travel guides and things like that to different cities in Europe, and I just think it's just fabulous. So this was in the first Lane magazine, and like I said, it's by Vera Valimaki, and it has this really nice turtleneck. I did knit mine shorter than they call for. They call for 10 inches of rib that you would fold over, and that would be your turtleneck collar. I think I only did about 6.5 or 7 inches. You can see how long that is there. I'm not a really big fan of a collar that would go all the way to the top of my neck. I don't mind a little bit of something against my neck if it's, not really tight, obviously, but I thought I would kind of be pulling at it a little bit if it was quite that tall. So I did stop knitting at about 6.5, 7 inches. I think that's going to be pretty substantial, pretty substantial collar. I think it'll still look good, hopefully. I'm hoping it's not going to be really short and look really stupid, but oh well. I'm knitting this out of a Miss Babs yarn, a 75-25 blend. I'm not sure of the base name or the colorway name. I bought this oh my gosh, 4 years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when I went up to Stephen B's in Minneapolis. Is it Minneapolis or St. Paul? One of the two. It might be St. Paul. No, it's Minneapolis. I was never there long enough, for a long enough bout, or, yeah, enough times to really know the strict difference between Minneapolis and St. Paul. And plus, when you live in Minnesota, you always call it the cities. You go up to the cities. So we kind of always lumped them into one. So yeah, not being a native from there, I really did not know where one ended and the next one started. So Stephen B is a pretty famous shop up in the Twin Cities. I think most people know who Stephen B is. And they had some Miss Babs yarn. This one came in a really huge skein. I think it was about 1,800 yards in one big twisted skein. It was literally that long and that thick. It was huge. I had to split up the skein, or the skein when I wound it, because it wouldn't fit on the winder. So I have this much left of, it was a third of the skein. And then I have the rest. Oh no! It fell, but it didn't fall in my coffee, so that's good. I have the rest of it here. And this is like 2/3 of the gigantic skein, so I have plenty of yarn. Yeah, I think I'll be just fine. I was saying in my last episode that pretty sure I'm gonna have a lot of extra, and I might do a couple little projects with it. It could be good for socks, so I could do a pair of socks for myself and maybe a sweater for my nephew. Who knows? It all depends on how much I have left. So I'm just gonna reach down and grab that ball of yarn that fell, and then talk a little bit more about this sweater. So this is knit from the top down. As you can see, it has raglan shaping. I'm so sorry about the light and it getting blown out, which I'm sure it is. So we have raglan shaping here, you can see. And then on this side, and I did just yesterday, day before, so that would be Saturday night, I split for the sleeves, or I split for the body. How do you say that? I took the sleeve stitches off and joined back in the round to knit the body. Oh my gosh, technical terms are evading me today. So yeah, I only have, oh boy, I only have like not even an inch probably done of the body. You can see where I tied waste yarn together because I have my sleeves on waste yarn. I prefer waste yarn over stitch holders for sweaters because it gives you just a lot more, I don't know, it's easier to kind of move around, and yeah. So yeah, I have about that much done, and now it's going to knit up very quickly because with the sleeve stitches on there, it was starting to go really slow. Like one round would take me, 15 minutes or something like that. Maybe not quite 15 minutes, but close. It felt like it. So now that I have the sleeve stitches held and I'm just working on the body, I think it'll knit up really fast. I did not knit too much on this yesterday. I did knit a little bit last night when we were watching an episode of Outlander. I will get back to that later. And so I knit maybe a few rows during that one episode. When you're watching a show like that, I do find myself stopping, and in a tense moment, I'll stop and I'll watch for a while, and then I'll keep going. So I don't get quite as much knitting done, as if there wasn't something so I don't even know what the word is. Like if I was watching sports or something like that, where it was more of like a listening thing and I'd look up every so often, then I can just, crank it out. But something that's very intense and I want to pay attention to, I do pause a little bit. And so I didn't really get too much done. And then this morning I've been working on another project, which I'll show you in just a second. So yeah, not a whole lot done since I separated for the sleeves. But that's okay. It's still been fun, and I'm really, really liking how the yarn is coming out. I have a couple bits where it was pooling a little bit, like right there. It did pool a little bit, but it's funny because it kind of mirrors on the back. It pooled, that same blue kind of pooled on the back too. So that was kind of interesting, but otherwise it is coming out really nice, just these little like blips of color. And I'm pretty sure for the sleeves, I'm going to knit from the outside and the inside and kind of switch every other row so that I don't get pooling. I'm pretty sure it would pool it would look similar to this, if not be even worse for the sleeves, because this has more stitches than the sleeves will. And this flashed pretty badly. Not that I care, but it did do that. So I just want to be careful with the sleeves. And yeah, so that's how it's coming along. I have a progress keeper on here that my friend Carolyn made. This is a, let me get the right side showing. This is a little cinnamon roll that she made and gave to me last year sometime, I think. And that's actually marking where I was the last time I podcasted. So last week, Monday, I had kind of just gotten done with the ribbing, and I had started on the increases, the raglan increases. So I have knit quite a bit since last week. And like I said, this is the project that was like my main project this past week. And I just cast on my second work in progress on Saturday. So let me show you that next. I feel so, this screen is so much wider than the screen on my iPhone that I feel like so tiny. And then this chair is massive. So this is like a double, like a two-person recliner. That's why I'm not really like tiny, like elfin. But I kind of feel that way. When I lean all the way back, I'm like tiny. But yeah, so if you're wondering, I'm short, but I'm not that small. Okay, so my second work in progress. I'm very, very, very excited about this. I was knitting on this morning, and those of you who follow me on Instagram would have seen a picture already of this. I just took a picture before I started podcasting because I wanted to enter a knit along that's going on right now. I'll explain all of that. But this is a new sock cast on. So I just have the toe done, and I've started a little bit of the foot. And this is the color, I mean, it's green. You can tell it's green, but it doesn't really look the same in person. And I don't know what is going on. I don't remember my my web camera ever being quite this grainy and fuzzy. I feel like it was usually okay, but today it's just awful. I don't know. Maybe it's out of practice. I haven't used it in so long. But anyway, so this is a toe-up sock. This is a, I'm doing 56 stitches, which is what I usually do for my socks, and just a wedge toe. The back you can see is plain stockinette, and the front is actually something that I am coming up with. So this is, I've never designed a sock pattern before, but I'm kind of excited about this. I think this might actually work, like as a pattern to possibly be released and published. I don't know. But anyway, you can see I have some stuff. Sorry, my cable's gonna spring back up. I have some fun stuff going on here and here on the edges, and then I have a little bit of a stitch pattern in here. I'm not gonna go into like a lot of detail, although you guys can, you know, obviously see that there's cabling and stuff, but I'll kind of wait until they're a little more done and until I know for sure that writing up the pattern and everything is going to work. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about these. This is for Babel's Traveling Yarns Knit Along, Grace. She has the Babel's Traveling Yarns podcast and yarn shop. She dyes yarn and has that on Etsy, I believe. Maybe she has her own website. I know she has a website, babelstravelingyarn.com, but I'm not sure if that's where you buy her yarn or not. Anyway, if you Google it, you'll find it. So she is hosting a knit along for St. Patrick's Day, and it's the St. Patty's Day knit along. That's the hashtag that you use, and it's basically you knit with any green yarn. You don't have to have a finished object, but it's from like now until St. Patrick's Day, which is March 17th, I believe. And yeah, just basically getting in the spirit, getting in the, you know, for me, St. Patrick's Day always reminds me of spring. You know, it's the first kind of couple weeks of March. And while we're not super warm here yet in March, it usually doesn't really warm up for good until end of April or early May. It's still, you're getting more 50, 60 degree weather. It's rainy, it's not snowing anymore. It's, you know, you get a few early spring, you know, flowers kind of coming up, and it's just, there's kind of promise in the air around that time of year. So that's what it reminds me of. So these are kind of my springy Irish socks. And this is actually a sock yarn. It's a BFL nylon, and I got it a long time ago. This is from like Deep Stash. I'm so proud of myself. But the reason why it's so perfect, not just because it's green, and it's not like fluorescent green, kind of like it's showing. It's this dark, deep, mossy green, and then it almost has like brownish specks throughout, which just is beautiful and perfect. It's very earthy. But what's great about this, and I don't know if I brought the, oh no, the tag is over on the coffee table. This is the Ireland colorway. So I bought this at Yarnology a long time ago when we used to carry this yarn, and I loved the color, but then I loved that it was called Ireland. I was planning on knitting my sister something out of this because she is like obsessed with all things Irish and, you know, Ireland. They've been there twice. They're planning on a third vacation there. Yeah, she's obsessed, but that just didn't kind of pan out, and I wasn't sure if she'd wear hand knit socks, if she'd be comfortable in hand knit socks, so I decided to keep it. You know, I didn't really have a plan for it, but then when this cal came up, I thought it would be perfect. So this is a Pagewood Farms yarn. It's the St. Elias base, and it's, I believe, 75, or is it 80-20? I think it's 80-20 blue face luster and nylon. So it is going to be a pretty hard-wearing sock. I love the way it feels. It's slightly more woolly than, you know, like a merino, of course, but I really like that. It feels a little more rustic. I really like that. And I have a beer stein on there, my Progress Keeper. This is actually from Carolyn too. How funny is that? And this is kind of more of a German style beer stein, but I figured, you know, the Irish, they love beer too. And they might not be prejudiced against a German beer stein. So, yeah, so I have that on there, and I'm really, really excited about these. I worked on the pattern, and I kind of wrote up the preliminary directions, how I think it's going to go. We'll see if I have to change anything. And now I just can't wait to see it like come to life. It's really, really exciting. So, yes, keep an eye on these. I can't wait to knit more of these. That's probably what I'm going to knit on today because I'm kind of obsessed. But, yeah. So, my Ireland Irish St. Patty's Day socks. Okay, so that's actually all of the knitted content, basically, or knitting content, besides I have a little bit of stash. This might be a shorter episode, although I do have quite a lot in life talk. But let me show you quick what I got this week. It's nothing too crazy. These are I got 2 skeins of yarn from Knit Circus, and these are some that I've had my eye on for a while. These are one-of-a-kind colorways. Again, sorry for the blowout. I really don't know how I can fix that, besides going back to my iPhone next week. But, so this is our Greatest of Ease base, which is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. There's 400 yards in each skein, and yeah, these are just 2 one-of-a-kind, semi-solid sort of yarns. This is a bluish, greenish, toothpaste color. That doesn't make it sound very pretty, but it is. And this is a brownish purple, I would say. But they might not look so good on the camera right now because of all the terrible lighting, but I absolutely love these 2 together. I think they are gorgeous. So I want to plan, or I'm planning on knitting something that is 2-color, you know, fingering weight, probably a 2-color shawl, I'm sure, and putting these two together. I'm really excited about that. I did have these set aside for a while because I've been thinking about buying them for about 2 weeks, and I finally did at the end of last week, because you know that feeling when, you know, you are dreaming of something and you're thinking about it, and then you go back and it's gone, and you're like, shoot, I should have bought it when I had the chance. It kind of is even worse when you work there and someone comes in and they're looking for yarn and they pick out the yarn that you've had your eye on for a really long time, and then you have to be the one to scan it, ring it up, and, you know, accept the money and send it out the door. Like, it's not just gone magically one day. You're literally selling it and giving it away. Not giving it away, but so yeah, so I decided to take those home because I would be very sad if someone else bought them. And yeah, I don't have any immediate plans for it, but it'll just go into my stash. Go into my stash like all the other yarn, all the other beautiful yarn that I take home that I'm dying to knit with. Isn't that sad? It's like, if only I could just have 4 pairs of hands all knitting at the same time. That'd be kind of weird though. Okay, so that's it for stash enhancement. I guess I can talk about, oh, my hair is so fluffy today too. I guess I can talk about what I'm wearing. This is just a kind of basic triangle shawl. This is the Boneyard shawl by Stephen West. And this is knit out of, oh my gosh, what is it knit out of? Malabrigo Finito, which is a fingering weight 100% merino yarn. It is soft as butter. It's kind of unbelievably delicious. I knit this maybe 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago or so. And it's kind of my go-to when I want something warm and snuggly. I used to wear it a lot around the house over my shoulders, like a real shawl. And I would sometimes like tie it around my back if I was doing something. Or, you know, if I was sitting on the couch, I'd just have it kind of draped over me. But now I wear it a lot kind of like this. I'll wear it under my coat if I, you know, want to wear, if it's a little chilly and I want to wear it like a big, you know, comfy, cozy shawl. I'll wear it over under my coat as a cowl type thing, as a scarf. And then, yeah, today with the window or the door being open a little bit, I just kind of wanted something a little warmer around my neck. So that's what I went to. And again, terrible lighting. I wonder if I shut the blinds. Usually, it's so weird because usually artificial lighting is worse than, you know, natural lighting. But today, maybe it's because the sun isn't coming directly in here. I don't know. Should I try it? Would it make a difference at this point? Maybe it would be even worse. Oh, what the heck, I'm going to try it. I don't know if that's any better. It's still super grainy and everything, but it's okay. Let's just get through the rest of this, and then next week will be so much better. So, this week has been really busy and fun. Seaver and I went to Green Bay on Friday with his mom for a family wedding. It was a cousin of his was getting married up there, and we stayed Friday night in the wedding was actually on Friday, and then Friday night we stayed up there in a hotel and came home Saturday. So it was really fun to get to, you know, spend some time with his mom, and we get along really, really well, which is great. And to have some time, you know, hanging out with Seaver too. We do, you know, get time on the weekends, but a lot of weeks he goes to the farm, to his parents' farm, and helps there. And then I'll sometimes go there as well, but sometimes I stay back, and so we'll, you know, not get a full day together even on our days off. So it was really great to spend a couple days in a row of, you know, just getting to spend time together. It was really, really awesome. So that was a fun little mini vacation. And then we came back to the farm on Saturday and spent the day Saturday there. The rest of the day, I guess, after we drove home, and then most of the day yesterday. And we got some time you know, with the cows, and I always love going to the barn when they're milking cows, and I'll just kind of walk up and down the aisles, and I have a couple of my favorites who are named, and I'll, you know, kind of get in there with them and give them scratches and a little bit of love. But yeah, gotta love my cows. So yeah, we got some good time there. We helped out a lot, which is great. And yesterday we actually tapped maple trees. So that's something that we do every single year. We've been doing it since we got together, which actually today is our 3rd anniversary. 3 years we've been together. We went on our first date 3 years ago today. And yeah, now we're getting married in a couple of months, and it's just all very exciting. So that was actually the first thing that I did when I went out to the farm for the first time to visit, is I helped him tap maple trees. And so it's kind of been our special thing ever since then, and every year around this time we get the taps ready, we get the bags and the frames ready, and we go out there and we tap trees. So we were out there for probably about 3 hours, 2.5 hours maybe yesterday, and it was a little chilly, but it was nice. Very icy, holy crap, because they had warm-ish weather, and it was raining the night before that, and then it froze overnight, and then it was kind of starting to thaw again when we were outside. The water was starting to run, but oh my gosh, there was just feet of ice. I did take some video, which is kind of interesting. I showed off, you know, a little bit of the ice. Where we tap is kind of on the edge of the valley. Their house and their barn is set into a valley, and then the rest of their land kind of goes up. So there's a lot of like, well, there's a lot of hills and things, but there's some like cliff, some like sharper ravines and cliffs and stuff. And their sugar bush, which is where, that's what we call it because all the maple trees are in there, or it's a high density of maple trees. It's like on the edge, like on the slope of the ravine on the one side of the farm. So it's kind of steep. It can get really steep, and there's these huge rocks, huge like moss-covered rocks, and the water will come down the side of the rocks, and it's like a fairy tale in there. In the springtime, because you can see through it. The summer it gets kind of overgrown, but the springtime, because it's, you know, the woods, you can see through all the trees and see all the rocks, and it's like, you know, Lord of the Rings, I swear. I mean, I've never been to New Zealand or, you know, wherever they filmed it, but to me, that's like the closest thing. So that was really fun. Like I said, I took some video. It is on my phone, which I don't think I can access right now, just because of the whole cord thing going missing. Not missing, I know where it is, but it's not here. So I might have to include that on next week's podcast, or maybe even the week after, because we should be boiling down sap. Seaver will probably boil next weekend. I won't be able to go, but then the weekend after, I think we're going to be boiling again, hopefully. So I'll maybe take some video of that and then kind of put it all together. But yeah, hopefully we get a really good crop of maple syrup this year. Yesterday it was really cold, and the sap wasn't really running yet when we were putting the taps in. But today it's getting up to 50 degrees, which is amazing. So the sap is going to be running like crazy. It might not get down. Usually when you're making maple syrup, you want the temperature to go down at night. So you kind of want the sap to stop flowing at night and then start flowing again in the day. You want it above freezing in the day and below freezing at night. That's like ideal conditions. So we might get a little bit of a lesser quality, like the sap that's running right now is going to be amazing. But then it's supposed to stay warm the next couple of nights and days, so it might be a little lesser quality, but we'll see. It might be okay. And then we might be able to get another batch of it over the week next week and then boil again. So hopefully lots of maple syrup will be being made. We tapped nearly 80 trees, or put 80 taps in. Some trees are big enough that they can take 2 taps, so yeah. Anyway, that's always really exciting, and it's one of my favorite things to do with Seaver. So yeah, that's pretty cool. We also went and tasted food for our wedding. We're having a little restaurant called the Old Feed Mill in Mezomany. I always want to say Menominee because that's another town in Wisconsin, but Mezomany, Wisconsin. It's a town about 10-15 minutes away from us here in Cross Plains, and they're going to cater our wedding, and they do homemade food. It's, oh my God, it's so good. We had the meal of our lives yesterday. It was so good. And the best part is they're bringing out all these like options for us to try, and we're loading our plates, and then they're like, we had this idea for this really cool dish, so we just thought we'd make it, and you guys can try it, and here you go, here's more, and oh, by the way, here's 4 different salads. We weren't sure what you wanted, so we just made them all, and they're kind of trying to impress us, and just make sure that we have the best experience and have the right food for our wedding. And it was just really cool. It was a really awesome experience, and they even they were willing to work with us with some ideas that we had. Like Seaver decided after at the end of the meal, he was kind of rethinking our salad option. And he's like, what if we did like a fresh spinach salad and we put this in it and that in it? And they're like, good idea. What if we did this? They were working with us. It wasn't like a set menu that they're like, no, sorry, we don't do that. It was, sure, we can do that. We might have spinach coming up, by then. We'll put together a big spinach salad, and maybe we'll have this dressing. And it was just so cool. The other really amazing thing is that they gave us the leftovers. So we weren't able, of course, it was just the 2 of us sitting there and eating, and we weren't able to eat all the food. So they packed it all up and sent it home with us. And when we found that out, Seaver was joking like, well, I hope you have a good home for, these leftovers that we're not eating. And she's like, yeah, you're going to take them home. And we got so excited. We both really love food. So yeah, that was amazing. They're really, really cool. If you live in the area and you want a really, really good, I know I keep saying really, really, really good homemade, home-cooked, fresh, local food, go to the Old Feed Mill. They also do parties. We're having I think we're having the rehearsal dinner there. And they have an upstairs room where they actually do weddings there as well, but it wouldn't be big enough for our size of wedding. And because we have a lot of family, a good amount of friends, but it's mostly family that I'm sure will be coming. And but it's just a really, really cool place. It's an old flour mill. It was a flour mill starting in 1857, and then it became a feed mill from the late 19th century until it stopped operation in 1991. So it was a working mill for almost 150 years, which is amazing. So yeah, you should go there if you are in this sort of area of the outside Madison area. So yeah, that was yesterday, and then we came home and we watched an episode of Outlander, which I am thoroughly obsessed with. Sorry, I'm trying to make my hair stop doing weird things and be poofy. We started watching Outlander a couple weeks ago. I've always wanted to watch it and just never had the chance. We don't have a really big cable package, and it's on Stars, so it doesn't air on any other channels. It's not on Netflix. It's not, so I just never had an opportunity. So I really wanted to, and Seaver knew how much I wanted to watch this show. And I said, I thought he would be interested in it too, just with the history, it's got some action. Yeah, I just thought he would like it too. So He got the first 8 episodes on Amazon Prime for like $8 or something, and we thought we were getting the whole first season. No, that's how they suck you in. You get the first 8 episodes for like $1 a piece, and then you have to pay like $20 for the entire season, which is really annoying, which we didn't realize until we were getting to the end of these 8 episodes, and we're like, we're pretty sure there are more than 8 episodes in the first season, and yeah, come to find out there's 16. So I think we're going to get a subscription to the Stars, like the Stars app, so that we can watch, I think we can watch all of them on the Stars app, which will be nice. And then we can watch like the next seasons. So yeah, we are both, he actually really likes it, and we're both pretty hooked. I now get, it's really nice. I now get some of like the inside things, like there's a few yarn dyers that do like Outlander inspired yarn. One of course that comes to mind is Bumblebee Acres, and they do all the fandoms. Oh my gosh, they have amazing fan yarn, and they do Outlander yarn, and these things like the Amber, or the Dragonfly and Amber, they have a colorway that's the name of it, and I didn't know really what that was referencing. Now I do. The Sassenach, I didn't know what that meant. Now I do, you know, so it's kind of getting like clued into sort of like a secret society and getting all the references and stuff. I feel like that's how it is with all the fandoms. There are references, you know, about Doctor Who that I have no idea because I don't watch Doctor Who. But then, you know, I am clued in on some other ones. So it's just really fun, and we're really liking it. So yeah, we've fallen down the deep, dark Outlander hole, and we couldn't be happier. All right, everybody, I think that just about does it for me. I'm going to go eat some lunch, some of my fabulous leftovers from our meal yesterday at the old feed mill. And yeah, and then I'm gonna do some knitting, probably upload this, or edit and upload. I'm gonna cringe the entire time I'm editing because the lighting is so bad, and I don't know if I can fix that. I definitely can't fix the graininess. I apologize again, but it was this or not film, and I really wanted to film. I really wanted to talk a little bit to you guys today, so hopefully you don't mind too much. I'm sorry. Anyway, I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead. It is Monday, so it's just the beginning. I'm sorry, but you'll get through it. You'll do great. Just keep knitting. Keep knitting. Or crocheting, or spinning, or cross-stitching, or whatever you want to do. Thank you all so much for watching. If this is your first time watching my podcast, thank you so much for giving it a chance. I hope you liked what you saw today, and don't judge me on the quality of the video, but hopefully you come back and check out another episode. If you would like to, please subscribe or give the video a thumbs up. That just helps get my podcasts out there a little bit more. And if you're a returning viewer, you know how much I appreciate you, and thank you so much for sticking with me. I do have some new subscribers recently. There's quite a few new ones, so maybe next podcast I will go into kind of my introduction again. I feel like it's been a while since I've, you know, kind of talked about my background and who I am, and then maybe I have had a couple questions about the name of the podcast, what the Driftless Knitter or Driftless Knitting means. So maybe I'll go back and talk about that a little bit, because I don't think I've talked about, you know, being driftless for quite a long time, maybe even since the beginning of the podcast. But so hopefully you come back next week and check that out. Yeah, and we will, I believe I'll be back Monday. Nothing on the schedule, so I'll be able to podcast again and show you all of my progress. And in the meantime, I hope you do things that make your heart happy, and I'll talk to you again really soon. Bye!